Okay. We were talking earlier about, I posed the question, how does one talk to, I hate to put it this way, be blunt, the other side with regard to Trump and his foolishness? How do you talk to people who are very much on the other side? And I'm asking this not just out of wondering about it, but it's very personal for me because of friends I have. And Karen and I were talking about this for 10 or 15 minutes before we came on. And I certainly don't have an answer. It's very, to me, it's really difficult. It's a really difficult question. The way I put it was, those of us of our ilk who see Trump as not the Antichrist and something close to it, um, it's Trump, Trump, Trump. But I always go back to the fact that there would be no Trump if it weren't for 78 or so million people who voted for this person. So how do you tell 78 million people or so that they're wrong? Uh, I'm not sure that I would like 78 million people telling me I was wrong. So to me, it's a big question. And again, I don't have an answer to that. To me, it's a very important question because if you can't, then how did how does all this talk of unifying the country ever be more than talk? I don't know.
It's a really, really important point, which is that everyone's talking, particularly, and I don't mean this to sound the way that it's going to sound, but in my opinion, it seems to me that there are more people on the left talking about unification of the country. That they want to find a way, they want to find an off-ramp, they want to find a methodology by which we can actually begin to communicate with each other, find common ground, and solve some of these problems.
I couldn't agree more.
So, in order to do that, common ground is one of the things that is the most elusive. And my personal opinion is that those on the far right have been fed a whole lot of propaganda from the propaganda generation news networks. So they have been fed talking points and catchphrases and slogans that are just, they're very hollow, they're extraordinarily shallow, and it's really impossible for them to be able to, almost completely impossible for them to be able to actually support whatever it is that they're saying, well, it's anti-woke or this, whatever. Woke is one of the biggest things that I have a problem with, okay? People talk about this is woke, that's woke, the right just wants the country to be anti-woke. If you actually approach someone who's using that kind of rhetoric and you ask them, like, well, okay, explain to me, like I'm 8 years old, what do you mean by woke? What does that mean? Who are you referring to? What are you talking about? If they can answer you at all, 9.5 times out of 10, it's going to boil down to trans rights. It's going to come down to, well, those who are woke can't understand that there's just two genders. They don't know the difference between men and women. And this is where, I have seen, in my experience anyway, that this is where people go. And they don't have anything more than that. Now, we all know, or maybe we don't all know, but the term woke actually comes out of the black culture talking about systemic racism and how that has been something that has always been, but we have not been always aware of it, or we've not been embracing of understanding what those principles look like and what those institutions have been developed on. So the term woke was, hey, we're not somnolent about this anymore. We're now woke and we see what you're all doing. We understand where this comes from, and that's where the term originated. So to hear these, these white right-wing guys talking about woke culture, it's hard for me to not just be enraged, but it's really important to not be just enraged. If we need to find common ground, we need to find a methodology by which we can actually speak to each other. The first thing is going to need to be respect, I think. And not just so much respect in a smarmy, smurfy kind of way, but respect in the form of you tell me in your own words how it is that you came to this conclusion. Educate me, and not in a defensive way and not in an aggressive way, but like sincerely. I really, like, for those of you who know, I run a bed and breakfast. Everybody's welcome here. Everybody's welcome here. You can come here wearing your MAGA hat if you want to. That's absolutely fine. You can wear it at the breakfast table. I don't give a shit. But you should expect some questions, which is going to be, clearly this is a statement that you want to make. I would like to hear what that statement is. And if you're going to say things, I'm going to have questions about it. And I'm going to expect that if you have such a staunch statement to make, that you'll be able to answer my questions. And if they can't, that's where there's, I think, opportunities to try and find common ground. It's like, okay, well, you don't want to talk about that. I get that. But, for instance, if it's about trans people, okay, you probably never met a trans person before, but do you not know anyone who's gay? Like, nobody? You've never met a gay person? Or have you ever, met someone who was impoverished? Or have you ever met somebody who was, I don't know, of another maligned, subgroup? Kitty TV. Try not to get distracted by the kids. They're easily distracted.
It's hard
as is clear evidence right now. Anyway, but it's a moment of not so much teachability, but it's a moment of maybe opening a tiny, tiny, tiny little window of, I don't hate you simply because.
No,
Did you just call him Finbar?
I did. I'm going to do that. Yeah.
Orange kitties, they're all the same. But to open up just a little crack in the armor for the possibility of a communication between two people on a different level than political. I think that people have stopped being able to talk to each other without the politics.
Yeah. Whoa. Good point. Good point.
Yeah. And so, and I see this with people on both sides. This is one of those very, very, very few times you're going to hear me say both sides.
Second, your kitty break.
Kitty break.
Kitty. I hate to disown you.
Oh. It's like,
this little guy got more life in him
he
than
does.
I do right now.
That's Remus. That's everybody. That's Remus.
He's something else.
And they just woke up from naps a little bit earlier, and so now they're about to raise hell.
Energized.
So it's entirely possible that we might get struck again. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that people have begun to really embrace their identity politically, and wear it like a cloak of protection. And you certainly see that with. Like, we are fond always of going out to the Pride celebrations, and here in New Orleans, the Southern Decadence celebration. And there's almost always that, fringe group of people with the placards and the hats and the whole thing, just calling out the actions of the day. And they are wearing their ideology as a protective cloak. Because you can't get through them. They're there to make loud noises and to say insulting things and to incite people if they can. So that's the tinfoil hat group. I don't think that it's worth time and energy on a daily basis to, to try and reach those people.
Quick question though. Are those the people that have the loudest voices on TV and in person?
The people, in my opinion, who have the loudest voices on TV and in person are being paid to do it. They have an agenda. They maybe don't believe it, but they have an agenda and they're being paid for it. I mean, Tucker Carlson is a brilliant illustration of this, right? He, was, Mr. Rush Limbaugh, Mr. Far Right, Mr. Be as outrageous as you possibly can. And then when it started to be lucrative to him to start talking against the Trump administration and the Biden administration as well, their stance on, say, Israel, or about the Epstein files, when it became lucrative for him to beat that drum instead, he had no problem switching out. And so now he's persona non grata. So J.D. Vance, who famously called Trump American Hitler. I mean, he called him American Hitler.
And now he's saying boys will be boys.
And now he is the biggest sycophant cheerleader for the Trump administration and the man himself. I don't know how anybody in their right mind makes that kind of a U-turn. So these are people who I think it's hard. Again, it's just so hard to even talk about this as somebody on the left. It's so hard to talk about this without sounding, parental and condescending and all that shit. And I remember making a great realization in Trump's first administration, realizing, the impoverished Republican voters in West Virginia and Arkansas and Alabama and Mississippi hate us because we think they're stupid. And they're right. We do.
Whoa.
We do think they're stupid.
Wow.
We do. And you got to wear it.
So
I wear it. I'm trying very, very hard to pull myself back from that absolutely, just cynical, judgmental stance. I don't need to embrace that. So I don't need to assume that everybody who voted for Trump is, a knuckle dragon slackjaw.
So we think.
Although I know some of you are.
We think they're stupid, and they think that we hate America. So to me, that if that's a very simplistic way of looking at it, I realize, but sometimes simplicicism, or if that's a real word, simplicity, has a grain of truth in it, and to me, that's a big part of the divide. We see them as stupid, and they can't believe that we are real Americans.
Well, and cheering on AI-generated videos of Trump dumping shits on protesters, of which there were 7 million. I mean,
and there were American flags there that were being dumped.
Hordes of them. I carried one myself. So the bottom line, I know I use that term a lot, but when we boil it all down, it does seem to me that we're both. We're not doing it in equal fashion, because I don't believe that, but that we're both coming from an ideology that is pretty mired into our cultures. And the cultures are different, they just are. And they paint a picture of two different Americas, one of which is white, and one of which is white with lots of other stuff.
I read online somewhere Johnson, the creature who was Speaker of the House, God, it's so embarrassing, he's from Louisiana.
He
make
needs to be concerned about his own damn constituents. He's from one of the most impoverished districts in the entire state. Shame on him. Shame on him.
in his trying to defend the picture of Trump dumping all over the 7 million of us. He basically said, I think he was just trying to make a point, and I don't remember the whole context of this, so I won't go into it. But one commentator said that, well, no, I think Johnson said that he was using satire, and the commentator said Johnson might want to look up the definition of satire in the dictionary, and if he doesn't, maybe he doesn't want to use that term, and I love that.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, because it's not really satire. That's
No,
just,
it's not. That's not satire.
just being mean.
That's defaming. That's just simply defaming.
Just being mean is not funny.
Yeah.
It's not interesting. It's just being mean.
Why this is 50% rhetorical and 50% not. Why are the damn right-wingers so mean?
Yeah, we talked about this earlier.
Yeah, but why are they, Johnson, God, he's a mean son of a bitch. He really is. He's not far behind Trump in his meanness, in my opinion. Maybe Stephen Miller is the only one that's for him. Why so mean? I just don't get it. Mean certainly emboldens the base, and says, all right, that man's full of testosterone, all right. But let's say that's 78 million people. There are 345 million or so people in this country. Those 78 million can't do it alone. It's a lot of people, but they can't do it just themselves. Eventually, as the wisdom is, eventually the Republicans will be ousted from the presidency, the House, the Senate. Then what? Do the Democrats get to be just as mean? And should it be expected that the Democrats retaliate in kind to be just as mean? And where the hell does that get us? That gets us nowhere. It does get us to a place. It gets us to a place that is further and further from democracy, and just closer and closer to we're not old enough to be called a civilization yet, but whatever we are, the closer to the end of it. 250 years, whoop-de-doo. The Romans, the Byzantines, whoever would look back and say, "What? You're barely out of the embryonic sac. You're just
primordial
kids.
Ooze, as Kelly would say.
Ooze, yes, you're just kids. So this again, a term that I just loathe. American exceptionalism. Ain't nothing exceptional about us. Ain't nothing. Well, that's not true. I won't. I'll go back on that. There are some things that are exceptional about us, but as a whole, no. As a whole, we are not. If we expect the rest of the world to bow down and say, "Oh, they are exceptional, those wonderful Americans," well, if that was ever going to happen, Trump has nixed that. There's not a whole lot of respect for us out there. The Chinese love us because we're delivering the world through their hands, but respect, not so much. No.
Well, the Chinese are eating America's lunch right now, so there is that, particularly when it comes to,
I'm waiting for Xi Jinping to, bring forth a motion to make Trump an honorary Chinese. He's the best one they have. Jesus, the cats are back. The cat is back. He's the best one they have. Anyway, breather.
getting his comic relief.
Yes.
But in terms of talking to the other side, I think that it's important to try and not see them as the other side to begin with. To try and approach those conversations without judgment. Also, but bring your intellect with you. You know, don't pretend that you don't know things, and but don't assume things. You know, and just try and open up a space whereby, like, truly, I'm curious. I want to know why you support this man, or I want to know what you mean by the term woke, or I want to know what it is that you have against Democrats, which, by the way, I will go to bed with you about that, as you hate Democrats, and I need you to tell me why it is that you hate Democrats so much.
Abortion.
That's it. Is it just like the one thing?
It's not the only thing, but it's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7.
So we need to talk about 8, 9, 10, and on, because it's one that is one issue, and I am going to wear you down about that. I will. I absolutely will.
And unfortunately, we do live across the street from each other, so it's not like I can hide, you know.
He can't hide. Well, he can try, but it doesn't last long.
It won't last. And she's got Kelly on her side. Kelly is not to be disregarded in this.
He is not to be denied.
No.
But it's true that, you know, if we look at right and left, and, you know, these are only ideologies that are as good as the people who are out there representing them. So, you know, throughout American history anyway, and other countries in the world, you know, the left has been represented by everything from, you know, FDR to Jimmy Carter, and a lot of stuff in between. And some of it's good, some of it is unproven and well-intentioned, but not good, you know. And the right, similarly, has been represented by, wow, I mean, I don't even know what what the span is. I mean, who would you say is the most benevolent of the far right?
Benevolent?
Yeah.
These days, nobody. I mean,
historically in America.
Historically.
I mean, maybe, you know.
That's a good, I don't know.
Yeah.
Good question. Very good question.
It's hard to think of it, but, you know.
Yeah.
George Bush, actually, I would love to have him in the White House again instead of Trump.
Which one, Daddy or?
Either one of them.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
As much as W
those guys.
was loathed, why, you know, and again, I'll go back to, I said this, I think, last time or whatever, W, say something. I think we're correct in thinking that you find Trump loathsome. What have you got to lose by saying that? I mean, you're not running again. I don't think I don't think your responsibility to this country ended when you stepped down from office. And I don't think you think that either.
Well, part of the problem with all of that is that, you know, when you open that up, you open yourself up to slings and arrows. And I think that, you know, he is still connected probably, I don't know how deeply or how actively, with the old core of the Republican Party, which has not gone away. It hasn't gone away.
No.
It's in hiding. It's hiding, running from prosecution and persecution. Because it is. And but I think that they're laying in wait to come back.
We need Mama Bush. That's who we need.
Mama Bush.
Mama Bush. She would take the balls off Trump in a second. Put it so grossly. Miss Mama Bush. She was.
Yeah, I liked her.
Oh, I really liked her. She was genuine. She would say something, and I honestly could believe that she believed what she was saying. Almost without exception. I can't think of too many people, left, middle, or right, that I can say that about these days. Mama Bush, God bless her. Put put a glass of bourbon in her hand and she's going to let you know.
Like that.
Oh.
Don't we need a new Ann Richards, don't you think?
Oh, I love Ann Richards. Oh,
Yeah.
God, I love that. Oh, God, now, I don't know what his stand on abortion was, and I don't care, but that was a Democrat that I could really, really like. Really, really like. I loved Ann Richards.
Okay, so this is now a pylon in the center of the highway, this abortion issue.
Mm.
You and I need to
I
have a
put
discussion
my foot in it, didn't
about
I?
it. Yes, he put his foot in it, for sure. So we need to have a discussion about that. Are we going to do that now, or are we going to save it for later?
Oh, save it for later. Save it for later. I know that's chicken shit, but I accept that. I can live with that. Not that I have doubts about the any chinks in my armor, but I'm just not up to it today. I'll confess that I'm having god awful back problems, and while I'm sitting here, well, I don't know how it looked, whatever, but there's a lot of pain. And if it weren't for the kitty on my lap right here, I would be more painful probably. So, abortion postponed.
Okay,
Okay.
abortion postponed. I will
All abortion
absolutely.
should be postponed. Yes,
Yeah.
very good, very good.
Abortion
Got
postponed.
something.
But I will wear him down. To me, this is a women's rights issue,
Hmm.
and I understand it's a Catholic issue for him. So there's a couple of brick walls on both sides, but I'm coming from a perspective
Okay.
of
But teacher, if I may say, it's not just a Catholic issue, it is a Muslim issue, of which there are 1.8 billion of those boogers in the world. It is an Orthodox Jew issue. It is a Protestant issue minus the totally, I'll just say it, the liberal Protestants. They don't really, anyway. It ain't just a Catholic issue. 1.4 billion Catholics, 1.8 billion Muslims. That's a hell of a lot of people. It's not just a Catholic issue.
it's a religious issue.
It
It's
is.
a religious issue,
it is.
and I get that.
It is.
But I'm also going to just posit that there would probably be, a whole lot more of all of those people in the communities of those religions if it weren't for abortion. Because if you're going to tell me that Catholics don't get abortions, Muslims don't get abortions, Protestants don't get abortions, you would be wrong. You would be dead wrong.
I don't deny that.
There
Not for a second.
is, always has been, and always will be a need and a desire for women to have access to safe abortions. Because there's never, never, never not going to be a need for it. Addressing abortion from the stance of we need to just obliterate it is tone deaf at best. It doesn't address, nobody is pro-abortion. Nobody is pro-abortion. Nobody wants abortions. Like, yeah, we should all have lots and lots of abortions. No one has that stance. Everybody understands that this is an enormously difficult decision for women. But the truth is that if you are anti-abortion and you don't want abortion to be allowed, then you should, by the same token, find as many ways as possible to do whatever you can to reduce the number of unwanted pregnancies. Abortion happens 100% as a result of unwanted jizz, okay? Unwanted ejaculate is the reason why there are unwanted pregnancies, period. And the fact that we approach, and here you didn't want to talk about it today, and you can cut me off anytime you want.
Yeah, it's her house.
I'm allowed to do this anywhere I want.
I know,
it doesn't have to be just in my house.
I know, but I would always make that point because she's the queen of the house. Go on.
Nobody talks about the men who are quintessentially responsible for unwanted pregnancies when it comes to regulating abortions. So this is a quagmire of nonsensical legislation, as far as I'm concerned, nonsensical moral judgments, and completely illogical ideation about the nature of unwanted pregnancies, which is why we have the need for abortions. So until anyone comes up with uh, an, an ideology to address that, then banning abortions is as stupid as banning alcohol. It's as stupid as banning homosexuality. It's just a stupid, judgmental, ridiculous power play to try and control people that is meaningless. It doesn't bring relief to anybody, and it just brings hardship and pain and suffering to the population. So it's an anti-humanistic stance on morality. It just is. If women are meant to be seen as the same as men, if we have equal stance in the world, then you cannot deny them body autonomy, period. And banning abortions is denying body autonomy, period. So scientifically, that collection of cells is not a human being. It isn't. It flatly is not. It's a collection of cells, mostly the vast majority of which have been generated from that woman's body herself. That is her. That is her body. Does it have the potential to become a human? Of course it does. Is it a human? No, it's not. And we can argue about when does it become a human, but historically and in the Bible as well, that's about quickening. That is about once, you begin to realize that this has a viability, that it can actually maybe exist outside of the woman's body, so that it has autonomy then itself. It is not reliant on the woman exclusively for its life.
Damn, I'm glad we postponed this. Jesus.
I'm just saying.
I know.
I will bring the receipts, baby. I will bring them.
That's fine. It's our house. I love that expression. I'm always going to use it. But really, there was something I wanted to say, and in order to say it, I would then open up a huge can of worms. So I ain't going to say it. So postpone.
Oh, you can't. No, come on.
Oh yeah, no.
Leave it as a dangler, and then we'll end with
I ain't dangling nothing.
Oh!
I ain't dangling nothing
You're
right now,
not
guys
dangling
and gals.
nothing.
No. If I say this, it's got to be full out with at least an hour more to talk about it. No, postpone.
Okay. All right. And on that note, I don't know who you have in your life. Maybe you have people that really, really disagree with your politics, and maybe it's difficult for you. Maybe they're family members or other loved ones. But do make an attempt. If you're listening to this, it means to me anyway, and I'm sure to you, Stephen, as well, that that you care enough to be interested to have ideas and maybe some strategies about how to bridge that gap. It's not going to be easy. I don't know if it can be bridged, but you know what? It won't be for lack of trying, at least not from my personal perspective. I'm happy to talk to anybody about anything, but expect the questions and expect that if you're saying something that I know and can prove is demonstrably wrong, I'm going to say that and I'm going to show you.
Gird your loins. Gird your loins.
Yeah,
that's all
gird your loins. I'm not interested in your loins.
I love the expression of gird your loins. Let me just say, I I think I'm sure I've said this before. By nature, not proud of it, but it's the fact that I am a pessimist. Um, I'm a card-carrying pessimist. But one of the, in bringing up this topic of how do we talk to the people who disagree with us on these huge major issues, uh, in saying these things and in listening, I want to be made less of a pessimist because I really, with Karen and any of you out there who care to respond, I want to be shown how my pessimistic stand on, let's just say, uniting the country to make it simple. My pessimistic stand is not on such firm foundation as I would think. I'd like to be proven wrong on that. I really would. I mean that. Like I said, I'm not proud to be a pessimist. It's just who I am. But it doesn't mean I'm not open to becoming, if not an optimist, then not a card-carrying pessimist. So,
Carrying. Is there an organization, the pessimistic, champions of America?
We don't reveal such things. So
It's a little like Antifa, right?
Wow.
Try and join.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
There's no club to join.
We've never been compared to Antifa until now. That's really cool.
No, I'm not compared to Antifa. I'm just using that as another illustration of
I like that.
perhaps an ideology that is not a real.
I like that. But please convince me otherwise. No one would be happier than I if you could. I promise.
Right. And you know what? I have just to answer that for myself. Not that there was a question about it, but you declare yourself to be a pessimist. I don't think that I'm either pessimistic or optimistic. I don't think I'm either of those things. And I don't think that I'm a realist. I hear people say that bullshit anyway. They're commonly not. I like to just observe what's happening and try and make my determinations based on what I see. And I'm just going to say this, and I hope I'm proved wrong, but I don't think America's going to make it. I don't think it will. I don't think it's going to survive. At least I'm pretty sure that in my lifetime, it's not going to come back to being the America that was, land of the free and home of the brave. I don't think we're going back there. And I have a hard time imagining that with the setups for cheating and jerry-rigging the next elections, with partisan gerrymandering and all this, I have a hard time imagining that America's going to survive this. Because it's a really young republic. And, the fact that a guy like Trump can get elected and do what he's doing and Congress just lets him. They're not, nobody seems to be giving a shit about the Constitution right now. I just think that this is a harbinger of what's to come. And I don't think that that the country's going to survive it. I think that the Democratic states who are about to be and starting to be completely maligned by the federal government and punished for their misdeeds of not bowing to their leader, I think they're going to start holding on to their federal tax dollars and not remitting them to the federal government. And of course, all the Democratic-led states are the ones who bring in the most amount of money for the federal government. The poorest states in this union, almost 100% of them, there's a couple of small outliers, are all Republican states. So you take the Democratic-led states' tax money away. That's going to take a lot of the power away from the federal government because they aren't going to be able to punish states that don't give them any money. They just hang on to the money themselves.
And then what happens?
And then the republic falls.
Well,
and maybe some of the eastern seaboard states and the western seaboard states will become part of Canada, because that would be a smart thing to
Would
do.
that not be a slap in the face to
It
the
would
orange
be,
creature in the
but
White
I gotta
House?
tell you, you know, that's much more likely economically and politically. That is much more likely to happen than Canada becoming the 51st state.
I could see that, you know, Washington, Oregon, New York, Vermont. Yeah, I can see it. But let me just say that about 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes ago, there was a great entry here, and I couldn't get in. But um, damn it, this isn't going to be as good or funny as I hope it will be without the context. But I can't remember. But for those of you who have not seen the East Wing, let me assure you that I saw it in 1966. It was a lovely place. It really was. It was a lovely place. Certainly not as lovely as the reproduction of Versailles that the orange creature in the White House wants to give us, but it was lovely too. So sorry you missed it if you haven't seen it yet.
I just hope, because nobody knew anything about this, I just hope that they took all of the priceless historic artwork and architectural, you know, applications and historic stuff out of the East Wing before they just demolished it.
Yeah, I think we'll find them in Mar-a-Lago probably in a year or two, you know, something like that. And yeah, okay. This is another topic for another. Anyway, the man's insane. You do know that.
One more thing that pissed me off this week. Yeah, it's just like, oh my god. And now he's gonna like actually order the Justice Department to pay him a quarter of $1 billion for his inconvenience on criminal charges that got dropped only because he got reelected. So talking about reaching across the aisle, this is what it is that the far, not even the far left, any part of the left is grappling with in terms of trying to reach across the aisle and make America whole again, is like, y'all fucking voted for that. Is this what you wanted? Do you even see what's happening? So it's hard. It's hard. We're trying hard to take the high road.
One thing that just came to mind, and I'm going to throw out there's penis envy. Except in this case, it's Paris envy. The military thing on Trump's birthday and the triumphal arch that he wants to erect. Where does it come from? It comes from Paris. He has not penis envy, which he's also already alluded to the fact that his penis is just fine as it is. He has Paris envy. The Arc de Triomphe in Paris, the military parade that he was present at for the Bastille Day, he wants this sick creature. He wants to reproduce the glories of Paris as much as he can in Washington, with Versailles for 900 people, with the Arc de Triomphe.
And of course, the most ironic thing of all is that he doesn't understand what Bastille Day is about, right?
No.
Like he doesn't get that. That it's like, you know, taking people to the guillotine and freaking, you have too much power. Goodbye.
Macron made the big mistake of speaking to him as an adult. Why didn't he have someone, maybe an 8th grade or 4th grade teacher, whispering in his ear as things were going on in Paris? Then he might have got it. He didn't get it, getting an adult interpretation or whatever.
Macron tried his best.
He did. Wow, what a great time. Abortions have been semi-postponed, and Trump's Paris envy has been revealed.
It's so ironic.
That is so cool. I
He
just
doesn't
came.
understand that he's on the side of, the aristocracy. He doesn't get that. He's so stupid. Oh my God.
This has been more fun than it should be. I'm afraid. This has been. I love our get together, but this has got to be maybe the best. I just really like this. And there'll be 78 million of you who'll disagree. That's cool. I'm trying to convert you today. No problem.
It's okay, but you know what? When you like and subscribe, make sure that you comment and
Please
let
do.
us know.
Yeah.
Rip it. Just absolutely tear us a new one if you like.
Please.
And we will be more than happy to engage in the conversation.
Exactly. And I'll remind you that I am one of those faggots out there who, if you want to say, wow, of course he's a lefty, he's a goddamn faggot, throw that in. I've been called a whole lot worse and probably will again. Throw that in though. I want to know because I just do.
So there, we are unafraid.
We're unafraid.
And I think that's the most important thing that we all need to be, is we need to be unafraid, It's the craziest thing, before Trump got reelected, I was hearing constantly people from the right wing saying, I'm scared to say what I really think because people are going to call me a racist or a Nazi. It's like, what do you think? What is it that you're thinking or that you want to say that you think people are going to call you a racist or a Nazi as a result of that? Like, did you not maybe think, let's wonder why they're going to call me that? Yeah. It's like, if you don't want to be called a Nazi, maybe, ixnay on the Atsine, right?
Does A get to B to C for no reason,
That's right. Stereotypes, for instance, of which are a big problem for the left. But stereotypes come from something. Yeah. They're born out of, they're born out of satire. Truly. So, yeah, that's also true. Yeah. My husband and I march, for those of you who are in New Orleans, we march in the Crew de Vue, which is the satirical crew. We make fun of everybody and we pull no punches at all. And frequently our themes are tasteless, but they make the point, right? So there's that. We only have 3 seconds as the parade is rolling by for you to get it. So we try not to make it too subtle. Yes,
we're a city of great taste when it comes to food, but we have our tastelessness too. That's an important part of the city. Yes. It's the spice. It's the spice in the city.
It is the spiciness. Yeah. That's it. All right. Well, thank you very much. We don't have a topic yet for our next meeting, Making the Point, which will happen on the last Monday of November. And if you have suggestions, let us know. Please. The current topic on the docket is a discussion about democracy, and is that the best form of government? So if you have a better idea, because we're kind of bandying that around thinking, I don't know, is this a good topic? It's kind of philosophical. Well, it's very philosophical, but I mean, is this one that we really want to tackle? Or can we do something that will be more entertaining and less depressing? So if you can come up with one for us, please do so. And we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. And Stephen and I will be back next week. And until then, we're making the point.
Okay. À tout à l'heure.
À la prochaine.